What's going on, guys? This is Vince with vshred.com, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the single biggest back training mistake and how to fix it. Alright, so when it comes to back training, you have to understand that just with how the back works and how you work the back, you're also going to be working an assisting muscle group. It's typically going to be, the secondary muscle group is always going to be the biceps. This is just because the back, to work the muscles in your back, you are going to be doing what is known as polyarticulate exercises. This basically just means you're going to be doing exercises that work that you use two joints for the exercise. So that means, like, if you're doing something like a pull-up, you're going to be using your shoulder and you're going to be using your elbow. Whereas like a mono-articulate exercise is going to be something like a curl, where you are just using one joint, your elbow. So with back exercises, you're always going to be doing polyarticulate exercise. You're going to be working two joints. So it's very common to, let's say a guy or a girl's in the gym and they're doing some kind, like a pull-up or something, or a bent over row or a dumbbell row, whatever it might be, and they said that they're feeling it in their biceps more than their back, and they can't figure it out, and they're doing the exercises that they're supposed to be doing, however many reps they're supposed to be doing, and they're getting stronger, but no matter what they do, they don't ever actually feel it in their lat muscle. So I want to give you guys just a very easy tip to remember in the gym every single time you're going to hit back, and it's going to allow you to stop focusing, or not even focusing, but stop without even focusing, stop hitting your bicep and start hitting that lat muscle and making that your primary mover rather than your bicep. And all you basically have to do is put your back into a biomechanical advantageous state while putting your bicep into a disadvantageous state. And I'm gonna do it with 3 exercises really quickly, just 3 very common exercises. I'm gonna do it with a bent over barbell row, a bent over dumbbell row, and then also a pull-up, because these are 3 exercises that I've heard from people who have been on our training plans, or just friends, or just people in general, comments on our Facebook pages, whatever it might be. These are 3 exercises that I've heard people say, I just feel it in my biceps. I can't figure out how to get my back to fatigue like my biceps do. My biceps always fail first. So I'm gonna start with the bent over row. So with the bent over row, we all know what a bent over row is. It's just right here. You're getting down, getting into a nice solid position with your legs, and you're going to take this bar, you're gonna drive it up to your stomach, and you're gonna really focus on, what you're trying to focus on is working your lat muscle. You're trying to basically, you can either go with a row with your shoulders, with your elbows out to the side, or you can go with a row with your elbows back. Either way, it's going to be working that lat muscle. So I'm just gonna go with my elbows back. So what you gotta remember here is, like I said, this is a polyarticulate exercise. So we're gonna be going through our shoulder and our elbow. So one way to really minimize the activation of our bicep is by just kind of forgetting about this elbow and really forgetting about what's below this elbow. So a lot of times people feel this weight in their hand, so they think that this weight needs to come up to their, let's say, the middle of their chest, and they're trying to row this up, and so they're just going like this. But what they're not realizing is that because they're focusing on what's in their hand rather than just what is actually supposed to be happening, which is a shoulder extension, just this elbow, or your elbow coming back right there, that's what works the lat. Right here, down to the side, adduction, and then out to the side like that. Those 3 movements are what's going to work your lat. The other thing is that when you are doing something like a row, typically people go a little bit too heavy and they end up rolling their shoulders forward, and then they end up keeping their shoulders rolled forward, and they look like this, and they start doing rows. And now right here, I'm gonna start working my biceps more, because I'm not putting my back into that advantageous state that I was talking about. So instead of keeping your shoulders rolled forward and doing a row like that, what you really want to focus on is instead leading with your shoulders. So instead of keeping that rolled forward and just pulling this weight up, and right there I'm gonna be getting a lot more elbow flexion than actual shoulder extension. Instead, what you want to do is lead with your shoulders. So instead, you can even practice this by keeping your elbows completely locked out and going from rolling your shoulders to rolling your shoulders back. Rolling your shoulders forward, rolling your shoulders back. This is a very good way to just warm up those muscles that you need to get your shoulder to lead this exercise. Once you got that down, then get into your row, lead with your shoulders, and then drive those elbows backwards. Bring it back down, lead with your shoulders, then drive those elbows backwards. And as soon as you start leading with your shoulder, you're gonna start feeling that contraction in your lat. And you don't always have to be this like robot in the gym where you're leading with your shoulder and then pulling back. Eventually, once you get that mind muscle connection down, it's gonna become this one fluid motion where you're driving your elbows back, but you're also rolling your shoulders back at the same time, therefore working that lat muscle. So that's how you do it with the bent over barbell row. I also want to show you it with just a bent over dumbbell row. This is the same thing. When you are going to do a bent over dumbbell row, we've all seen it right here, bent over dumbbell row. And this is what you see all the time. People bringing this into the chest. First off, don't ever bring a dumbbell row into your chest. Don't ever bring it into your stomach. You want to focus on throwing this dumbbell backwards. The whole point here is to get this elbow to come backwards on your body. Get this shoulder extension where your elbow is coming backwards. Basically, if you were standing up straight, you're getting it to come from right here to right here. That's the movement that you're focusing on. So when I go from here and I come down right here, this is my starting position. So I'm trying to go from there to there. So instead, I'm going to be having a bent arm, but I'm going to be driving my elbow back in the same movement. So that's the first part. The second part is, again, lead with your shoulder. You don't want to keep your shoulder rolled forward here so that let's say you do throw that elbow back, but your shoulder's still rolled forward. Now you're getting more elbow flexion than you are shoulder extension. So instead, what you want to do is, again, if you got to warm up that scapula again, and you want to go right here, keep this elbow locked, and you want to go like that, and just get into the groove of understanding what that feels like to lead with your shoulder. And then once you got that down, lead with your shoulder and drive that elbow back. Lead with that shoulder, drive that elbow back. Get my leg back. Lead with that shoulder, drive that elbow back. And that's when you start feeling that lat engagement. And again, you don't have to be a robot. Once you get that movement down, you're gonna start being able to make it one continuous movement right here and understand how to target that lat muscle when doing a row. So that's the second exercise. The third one, have you come over here. I'm gonna do it with a pull-up now. Pull-up, great back exercise, but also one that doesn't really get the credit that it deserves. Not necessarily the credit that it deserves, it just doesn't get people the results that it should be getting them with their back development. There's literally no better back exercise than the pull-up for back development, and that is just because it's going to work all the muscles in your back. But if you're not doing it right, it's going to start working your assisting muscle groups like your biceps, and that's because you're not focusing on those two things where it's a polyarticulate exercise. It's going to be working your shoulder joint, you're going through your shoulder joint and your elbow joint. So you want to really focus on not getting as much elbow flexion, not doing as much of this as you are this. So you really want to focus on just driving that elbow downwards. So instead of just kind of curling yourself up to the bar, you want to drive those elbows back down behind your body. But let's say you are driving those elbows back down behind your body. The next thing is, if you don't focus on leading with your shoulder, you're gonna end up looking like this. You got your shoulders up, you're keeping them there, you're gonna end up looking like this doing pull-ups, and you're gonna start working your biceps a hell of a lot more than you are your lats, and that's when you start feeling your biceps fatigue faster than your back muscles, and you wonder why. Easy fix, guys. Hang from this bar, same thing as before. Get that feeling of what it's like to roll your shoulders forward and then really retract your scapula right there. Let's do this 4 or 5 times. Once you got that feeling down, then lead with your shoulders, drive those elbows backwards, and all of a sudden, you're getting complete lat activation from a pull-up. Lead with your shoulders, drive your elbows backwards, And again, you don't have to be a robot. You can do this all in one continuous motion. And all of a sudden, your back is being activated more than your biceps just by understanding A, polyarticulate exercise. You're going through your shoulder joint and your elbow joint. Focus more on that shoulder extension or that shoulder adduction, or the elbow adduction, bringing that elbow in towards your side, bringing it from here down at an angle this way towards your body, and then also minimizing the amount of elbow flexion that you get with any of these exercises, whether it's a row, minimize how much you're doing this. If it's a pull-up, minimize how much you're doing this. And then also, the other thing is make sure that you are leading with your shoulder. If you're doing a row, make sure you're not keeping your shoulders rolled forward the whole time. Make sure you are throwing those shoulders back and then doing a row. And if you're doing a pull-up, make sure you're not just keeping your shoulders rolled forward and going like that. Lead with those shoulders, then drive those elbows down, and all of a sudden, you're gonna start feeling your back getting stimulated a hell of a lot more than you were if you weren't understanding those two main factors. So I hope this video helps you understand what really the biggest mistake is when it comes to back training and how to fix it. And this is gonna make a huge difference if you're suffering from these mistakes in the gym. So if you guys are looking for more tips, if you guys like this tip, I know you're gonna love my physique tool, where it asks you a couple of questions about your body, what your goals are, what shape you're in right now, what you're trying to achieve, and then at the end of it, it basically takes you through this little quiz, and then it gives you 3 tips for your specific goals, what type of cardio and training and nutrition you should be following, and then also recommends which of my 90-day programs that is best for your specific goals. So if you want to check that out, you can click the link in the description below this video. Other than that, if you guys learned anything in this video, if you guys were struggling with your back training and you learned anything, maybe the polyarticulate exercise, maybe it was leading with your shoulder, whatever it was, if you learned anything, make sure you're clicking that thumbs up below so I know I helped. It makes me feel better about making these videos and motivates me to continue making them. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, video recommendations, videos that you guys are wanting me to make, things that you're confused about, leave it in the comment section below this video, just no trolling. And then last but not least, make sure you're clicking that subscribe button so that you're not missing out on any future videos. All right, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.